What's up, people of YouTube? I'm Karsatowski and welcome to the Karsatowski Bowling YouTube channel. I have never said that sentence before until now. And as you can tell, I have renamed this channel from Karsatowski to Karsatowski Bowling because obviously this is a bowling channel now. If you have been viewing this channel since its inception in late 2020, it has been all kinds of things, but it is a bowling channel now. So all of you that have subscribed because it was a vlogging channel or like an acting monologue channel or whatever in the heck this used to be, and you don't like bowling, then just unsubscribe so that I can just get people dedicated to bowling. But if you're here for the bowling, this year is going to be the best year for this channel by far. We have all kinds of videos scheduled and all kinds of new series that I'm going to be starting. And today I am going to be doing my PBA bowling breakdown series. And today is going to be the first of that, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. So this is the 1996 Showboat Invitational. And this is the title match between Walter Ray Williams Jr. and longtime PBA Tour competitor Brian LeClaire. And Walter Ray goes to the hide hard one and gets a nice messenger right there. So this is all the way back in 1996, 29 years ago. So in this period of time, reactive resin was pretty much just coming out. It had first been released in 1991. And there are a lot of companies that were coming up and making reactive equipment. Like plastic and urethane had pretty much been the dominant piece of equipment used for a few decades before that. So definitely players are starting to develop their games to accommodate for the new equipment, like Brian right there. It's going a little bit more towards the inside and shaping it a little bit more. Very interesting. The Showboat Invitational, I, at this time, cannot remember exactly where this takes place, but there was, like, I think I'm getting this mixed up with another one. No, I really don't remember where this tournament takes place. But this was a tournament, a yearly tournament that took place every year on the tour schedule, and it was a pretty prestigious tournament for the most part. And Walter Ray made the finals multiple times. Flat 10. All right, so LeClaire has a double up, and Walter Ray has a strike and a potential 9 spare here. At this time, Walter Ray pretty much was definitely the most dominant player on the tour at this time. At this time, he had, I believe, 3 Player of the Years to his name. He had won his first Player of the Year, I think, back in 1986. And then he had won it a total of 4 different times in the 90s. I think 92, 96, 97, and 98. So this would have been his third year, I believe, he would have won Player of the Year, and this would have been his first of 3 consecutive Player of the Years, which, as you know, there are only 3 players. Yeah, let me try that again. There are only 3 players in PBA Tour history who have 3 consecutive Player. No. I was right the first time. There are 4 players in PBA Tour history who have 3 Player of the Years in a row. I got it right. Earl Anthony was the first one who did it in the late 70s. I think 77, 78, and 79, I think. And then Mark Roth did it in 80, 81. No. That's not right. That's not right. Earl Anthony was a few years before. He did it 3 consecutive years. And then Mark Roth did it 3 consecutive years. And then Earl Anthony did it again 3 consecutive years. And then Walter Ray would do it in 96, 97, 98. And then Jason Belmonte would do it in 2013, 2014, and 2015. And we also have a potentially new person who might end up taking that record in EJ Tackett, and he has won Player of the Year so far in... I'm going to go and skip this for a little bit. This is PGA Golf. We don't want to see PGA Golf around here. This telecast that I found includes ads from the 90s also, and a lot of these definitely show their age. Okay, here we go. Anyway, so EJ Tackett this year potentially could add his name to that list, as he's won Player of the Year in 2023 and in 2024. So if EJ has as good of a season as he has had in the last couple years, then he'll be putting his name in the history books as 5 players who've won Player of the Year 3 times. Like, EJ has also gotten to number 5 on the most PBA Player of the Year awards also. He is one of only 5 players to have won Player of the Year 3 times, which is interesting. And there have actually been quite a few players who've won it at least twice. Now, a little bit about back to this match. Walter Ray's getting some pretty interesting hits here. I've lost a little track of score, but it's within a 10-pin match here. Brian LeClaire has been on the tour for about as long as Walter Ray and Parker Bone III and Norm Duke, to name a few. But the interesting thing about Brian LeClaire is that to this day, he has never won a national tour title, despite making quite a bit of TV appearances as well. He does have a pretty good amount of regional titles, but Brian LeClaire, like a lot of bowlers who have been on tour since like the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s, have found a lot of success on the PBA 50 tour, and he actually won PBA 50 Player of the Year back in 2017, and that was after Pete Weber's dominance over the tour in those few years. So that was really the first time that Brian LeClaire had any success on any national tour, which is interesting. Any players that you normally think of who haven't had a lot of national success, but a lot of 50 success, are bowlers like Tom Hess, but he did make quite a bit of match play appearances and step ladder finals in his time, and he did win the 2010 Masters. So Tom Hess definitely had some success before the 50 tour, but Brian LeClaire pretty much did not win any on the tour before that point, which I think is pretty interesting, especially for a guy who's been on tour for as long as he had been and who's made a lot of good showings and tournaments. Especially this is one of his best that he's ever had. He's playing inside, getting that ball to float through the mid part of the lane and then make that kind of stop at the pocket and then just keep going straight, kind of like how a High Road Pearl reacts, which is a ball that I have. Obviously, the High Road Pearl did not exist at that point in time. This is probably like a Rhino, most likely. That was one of the most used reactive balls during this time. And he's really consistent in this match, getting a lot of good pin action. He's not missing the ball to the right. The ball is not creeping up too high. Walter Ray is seeing a little bit of transition. His ball's finishing up a little bit high in the pocket. So let's see if he can get his ball to finish flush in the pocket. And there's one. He pretty much needs to go all out in order to have a chance to win at this. He's down by 21 pins going into the 9th frame, so he can cut his deficit to 11 pins. And that pretty much needs that Brian would need at least the first 2 strikes in a spare. He'll need a strike in the 9th, strike in the 10th, and spare to pretty much shut out Walter Ray. And there you go. Walter Ray does what he needs to do. He's down by 11 now. So Brian will definitely need to get some pretty good count here on the next 3 shots. And as you can tell, both of these players are not taking very much time. Well, when I said that he wasn't getting it very far out, he got it over to the way outside boards. And when you're a player who's playing with about mid to average hook on the inside, and you let that ball go to the very outside of the boards, it just won't pick up, especially if you have high ball speed. There's probably a good amount of oil just sitting in that part of the lane for no play. So, anyway, now we have a different match here. So, Brian is up by 9 pins. So, he can pretty much still strike out to win by 1 pin, I believe. Anyway, what I was saying before, for this being a high-pressure situation, these players are going pretty quickly. Today, more than half the players would take at least 5 times longer than any of these players would be. Like, these players are just looking at their target, visualizing what their shots are going to be, pick up their ball, go up to the approach, just get the ball in their hand and go. A lot of players just like probably take a re-rack or 2. If you were Sean Rash, you'd balk about 2 or 3 times. You know, you'd stand up there and think about it a little bit, but these players are just going, throwing shots. As a matter of fact, he can't shut him out, I don't believe. I think Walter Ray now can strike out by 1. Yeah, if Walter Ray strikes out, he'll win by 1 pin. Yeah. So I got it the other way around. So Brian, he can pretty much put 1 more strike on the board, and he will force Walter Ray to get all 3 in the 10th to win. And he does a good job doing it. So this could have been Brian's first title if he would have struck in the 9th frame, because his ball was looking really good the whole time, and he knows it too. It's just unfortunate that he had that shot in the 9th frame, but it happens. Walter Ray makes a good shot, and it finishes high flush. Okay, he'll need 2 more just like it. Okay, so he actually does take a re-rack now, so this is really the first sign of nervousness from any player that we've seen so far. Just trying to make sure he goes through his process so that he can give himself enough time to be able to pry off this shot. He needs this shot to have a chance to win. And my video is a little bit slow. Oh, that was a light hit. Now, yeah, that could have been like a flat pocket 8-10 pin any day for a lesser player. Goodness sakes. Alright, Walter Ray needs this strike. Is he going to get it? He got it. He got it. There you go. And that is pretty much the reason why, partially the reason why Walter Ray has been one of the most dominant players in bowling history. He takes advantage of a small opening, and he wins. And unfortunately for Brian Leclerc, he will never get another opportunity like this, at least on the national tour. Okay, that's pretty much all for that. Yeah, I had never seen that match before. I feel like a pretty good amount of it has been cut out, but Oh well, at least I got to see most of it. Anyway, so that is the 1996 Showboat Invitational. And if you would like to see any more, then be sure that you hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any more. Also, if you want to comment on which ones you would like to see, just comment down below, and if I pick your suggestion, then I'll put your comment on the screen and pretty much be as a channel shout out. So shout out to the person who commented for this video. I appreciate your comment, and just keep the comments flowing because I want to see what you would want me to react to for the PBA telecast. The PBA 2025 tour season is upon us. It is going to be coming out in the next several weeks, so be sure that you stay tuned to those, and I will most definitely react to some of those. But until then, I'm Karsatowski. Keep watching my content, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya!